This was a rigged, disgraceful trial, but the real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
It is a historic day in America. Donald Trump is now the first former U.S. president to be convicted of felonies. Good evening. Welcome to Fox 7 News at 5. I'm Alex Michelson.
And I'm Christine Devine. That verdict reached by a New York jury, guilty of all 34 counts for falsifying business records in a scheme to illegally influence the 2016 election. Trump is expected to quickly appeal, faces an unprecedented dynamic as a major party presidential candidate who's also a convicted felon. Sentencing is set for July 11th, just 4 days before the Republican National Convention begins in Milwaukee.
After that verdict, the former president returned to his home at Trump Tower. Here's a live picture from there right now. You see police in front and some onlookers nearby.
Fox's Connor Hansen is live in Manhattan outside the courthouse with the update.
Christine and Alex, it went from quiet and tense inside that courtroom as people waited for the verdict to loud and boisterous outside, with people protesting the verdict and people celebrating it outside, holding signs and marching up and down the street.
This was a rigged decision right from day one.
The jury handing down a verdict of guilty on all 34 counts after nearly 6 weeks of listening to 80 hours of witness testimony.
We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution.
Jurors resumed deliberations for a second day after asking the judge overseeing former President Donald Trump's hush money trial to review testimony from prominent witnesses. The 12 Manhattan residents who sit on the jury again listening to testimony from David Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer tabloid, and Michael Cohen, Trump's ex-lawyer, regarding key conversations both had with Trump in 2015 and 2016. The request stirring debate over what jurors could be considering before handing down a verdict.
I didn't ever think it was going to be an acquittal. Having been in the courtroom, I thought it might be a hung jury, 10-2, 11-1. But verdict is only the result of what you're given up until that point. So this is not a surprising result to me.
Jurors also asked Judge Juan Merchan to repeat some of their directions guiding their deliberations. Several jurors taking notes as the judge read from his instructions about making inferences from proven facts.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial, but the real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
And right after the former president spoke, after the verdict, he went straight to Trump Tower, and now we're learning he'll be at a fundraiser tonight. Now President Biden's team also fundraising off this decision. Back to you.
All right, so President Trump allowed to go home, go about his business this evening. What is next after this conviction? We know sentencing a little ways away.
That's right, July 11th for that sentencing. And as you mentioned, only a few days before the Republican National Convention. It'll be up to Judge Juan Merchan alone to decide exactly what that sentence is. And remember, these are felonies, so that can range anywhere from something like, even a house arrest to actual jail time or prison time for this, or something as low as a probation for it. But the one interesting thing, none of that will affect his ability to run for president.
Right, it might affect his ability to vote for himself, which is because convicted felons aren't allowed to vote in Florida. So I'm curious about the logistics of this. So that sentencing is July 11th. We know the Trump team's going to appeal no matter what. If, say, he is sentenced to prison, which is unlikely but could happen, is it happen immediately, or because of the appeal is it delayed no matter what?
Well, Trump's team has about 30 days to appeal this. As you mentioned, highly unlikely he actually does prison time, but we're expecting them to do everything they can to delay this as much as possible. While, that kind of sentence wouldn't prevent him from physically running for office, it would obviously take him off the campaign trail some more.
All right, Connor, thank you for the latest. Appreciate that.
Meanwhile, the Biden-Harris campaign reacting to the news, releasing a statement which reads in part, "Convicted felon or not, Trump will be the Republican nominee for president. The threat Trump poses to our democracy has never been greater. He's running an increasingly unhinged campaign of revenge and retribution, pledging to be a dictator on day one. No on-camera statements from the president or the vice president about this tonight.